record. Yep. Hello, all guys. Very good morning. Hope all of you are doing good. And thanks for joining the meeting on a Saturday morning. So we all know, right? I mean, I think some of you already spoke to me before, and some might be new joined here. Okay, we will discuss in detail right after the session. But let me set the agenda for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, guys. Okay, like what are we going to discuss, and what will be your understanding right after this? Okay, and what is that we are going to get out of this course is what we'll discuss. Look, that's the agenda. But before we get started, usually the way I do things is that I want my sessions to be always interactive. Okay, so when I say interactive, what I would mean is I don't want you guys to hesitate asking questions. Okay, meaning any question that you have while I am demonstrating things or explaining things, feel free to ask questions, because the only way that you could learn is by asking questions. Okay, so it could be silly for you, or you might think whether you are right or wrong. Please don't hesitate to ask questions. I always encourage people asking questions. If I know, I will be explaining you right away. If not, I will try to find the answer for it and give you the answer in the next session. Okay, so please ask questions. The more questions you ask, the better understanding you'll have on the technology that we are going to learn. Okay, that's one thing. Always remember that. So, and also I'll always start with the introduction. Okay, so before we start, I would like to hear from you all at least a couple of lines where I get to know you in terms of what have you done, what is your background, and why are you looking out into DevOps and AWS course. Is that clear, guys? It's a very simple introduction, just to have a better conversation between us. Shall we start? So if you want to talk, you can unmute yourself and talk. Hello. Mahinder, can you start with your introduction, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Mahinder. Basically, I am into non-IT sector. I'm looking forward into AWS and DevOps for a better growth. Today's market is in DevOps, Kubernetes, and AWS. I'm looking forward for that to my better growth into IT sector. Basically, I'm into non-IT sector. I'm working present in Geo, and I am from Nagarjuna Sagar.
Okay, Mahinder, understood. Okay, yeah. So
Thank
I think
you.
yeah, we'll see. So do you have any questions, Mahinder, before we start?
Yeah. Basically, how many days of this course into?
Okay, okay. So I'm not going to answer that right now, but please
Okay.
stick to the session. Okay, I'll clear that. Yeah.
Hi, this is Dave Kumar. Hi, everyone. And I am from Andhra Pradesh, working in the government sector right now. But I would like to change my platform into the IT sector. And I have searched different platforms through my friends, by the suggestions of my friends. Like what are the available platforms and what platform should suit me, like that. And I have decided to learn about the AWS services. That's why I choose this. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. And do you have any questions?
Right now, I don't have any questions. And as the time passes, I will let you know what my doubts and
Sure.
regarding this.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, thank you. Alluri, or yeah, Ashwin, please go ahead, guys. Please, one by one, you can unmute and talk. Yeah.
Yes, I am Ashwin Kumar, sir.
Yeah.
I am from Rajahmundry, Andhra Pradesh. Till now, I am preparing for government job and I didn't secure any government job for that sake, and I would like to come into software IT side.
Sure, Ashwin. Yeah. So when did
Basically,
you?
I am non-IT graduate.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you. And
Mm.
any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
Hi sir, this is Shambhavi. Presently, I'm working from the non-IT sector. Its company name is Byju's. I want to change my sector into IT, so that I prefer. I asked so many friends regarding which course it is better for the IT sector. So I prefer to AWS and DevOps, so that it will be give me growth as well as and flexibility for the work as well. For that reason, I changed it to IT sector.
Sure. Sure, Shambhavi. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
do you have any questions before we start?
Sir, after the session, after listening the session, I will let you know, sir, what are the queries I have.
Sure. Definitely, guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Next one, please.
Good morning, Shiva sir and the
Hey.
team.
Good morning.
Myself Bhargavi. I'm from Vishakhapatnam. I'm an engineering graduate in stream of ECE. I'm working in Concentrix for 4 years, which is a non-IT sector. I want to change my career role and grow. So I want to see my career growth. So I choose DevOps would be the better choice.
Okay. Okay.
As
Thank you.
of now, I don't have any questions. After listening the session, if I have any questions, I'll let you know.
Sure. Next one, please. Santosh.
Hi Shiva.
Hey. Hi.
My name is Santosh Kumar.
Yep.
I came from the government sector, non-IT background.
Mm-hmm.
I want to join IT sector. As of now, presently Azure DevOps and AWS DevOps are in full growth of the IT market. So I want to learn DevOps.
Sure, Santosh. Yeah. We can do that. Okay, guys. I think are we done with all of your introduction? Okay. Now I think it's my turn to introduce myself. Okay. Hello, everyone, guys. Myself, Shiva Prasad. Okay. I'm currently working as a cloud and DevOps engineer, where I have around 9+ years of experience working in different domains of the industry, and all the domains that I've worked have contributed a lot to be in the current situation where I am in terms of DevOps and AWS automations. I started my career as a Linux admin back in 2011-12, I should say, and where I did my certifications. Have been part of all the client engagements, and later moved into virtualization, VMware, which was back then was one of the latest technology where which led every organization, okay, whoever has the data centers, to move from physical environment to virtualization environment. And after that, things were bit changed. People felt that having data centers are a bit expensive for them, and a lot of startups have started, and they started looking out for other alternative options where they don't want to invest money in the physical hardware and want to achieve or build the applications. And that's when this concept of cloud started to grow in the market, and everybody started adopting cloud. And when things are in cloud, right, and the people started talking about automations, like, hey, why should I go and do all of the things manually? Okay, like, let's have a script which can go ahead and do the job for me, or let's build some automation which will send me notifications if something goes wrong, or which will fix issues by itself. Okay, so these are the trends that I have seen in the industry, and according to those trends, I started making my career into those aspects, and by which I have done all those certifications and had an opportunity to be a part of those projects and excel in all of those things. And throughout my career, I have been training people on all the technologies that I have worked on, primarily Linux, virtualization, AWS, cloud, and DevOps. And I have been a freelancer, by the way, and I have trained a lot of people. I have trained a lot of people, help them in getting into their dream jobs with a better package and all. But this is something where I'm starting my own thing, where I wanted to have my own training come placement, oriented platform where I can help people in getting into their dream jobs or help them understand the technology and all. So all of this experience that I have will help me in making people, like mostly the non-technical people coming from different backgrounds, okay, and who wanted to pursue their careers into IT. So my idea is to make technology simple and teach things in a very formal way so that you understand the concepts, where most of my focus always goes into concepts. If you understand the concepts, remembering the commands, remembering the process will become so easier. Okay, so that's what I will be focusing on, and that's what I have been doing from past 8+ years, I should say, throughout the trainings that I have been doing. Okay, so I'm currently now a Kubernetes certified administrator, and Kubernetes is one of the leading platform for all the containerization management. So don't worry about things, guys. If you're not aware of these terms, if you haven't heard them before, that's absolutely fine. You will get yourself comfortable when we are going through the sessions. But this is just a kind of introduction that I'm trying to give you. Okay, so because you should understand, as a trainee, you should understand who your trainer is and what kind of background he comes from and all. And that's the reason I'm trying to explain you all of this. So my experience with all of this will help me in giving you a better understanding, wider scope of the technology or the tools that we are working on, and which will help you in getting good hands-on experience, better understanding, and applicability of the technology that you are learning in the real-time scenarios. Okay, so let's get started, guys. So before we start again, like I said, I ask these questions a lot of times. Do you have any questions before I get started into the actual thing? Why are we here and all? Silence. Okay, I take it as no. So, and it's time for you to answer my questions, guys. Feel free, unmute yourself and ask questions, or if I ask you questions, try to respond. Why are we here today? Why do you think you guys are here? What is that you are expecting out of this?
I think it's about the introductions of AWS and other DevOps services. Before going
Yes,
to the actual concepts, it's just a overall look like that. I think
yes,
what are the different services available and how we move on the each classes step by step.
exactly, Daiva. Yeah. So basically,
And
guys, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like that.
Yep. So basically, guys, the thing is, I know you are coming from a different background, and now DevOps has become really a buzzword in the industry. Everyone is talking about DevOps. Like, you talk to any person in the IT, okay? Uh, so you talk to any person in the IT, like be it a tester, developer, or anyone for that matter. So everyone is talking about DevOps. Even like someone is into IT and they also want to get into a DevOps. Someone is into DBA, they also would want to get into this thing. Someone is into analytics, they also want to get into DevOps. So what is this DevOps all about? Okay, so I know you have a lot of questions in your mind, but I am here to address all of those things. But throughout my experience, what I have seen is that, so these are the kind of questions that I get to hear from the people. Very normal questions. 90 out of 100 will ask me these questions like, can I learn DevOps? Okay, and I'm from a non-technical background, can I get into DevOps? Okay, and the biggest question is, what is the difference between AWS and DevOps? Like, I'm already an AWS engineer, should I learn DevOps? I know DevOps, but I haven't heard about AWS before, or I don't know anything in AWS. Okay, so these are the things, okay, which I'm going to explain you, right? Not right now, but which you'll come to know right after I complete the session today. Okay, so these are very basic questions. but these questions will give you better. If I start answering about them, you will understand what we are looking at and what is that we land up of the sessions and all. Okay. So DevOps basically, um, it's basically a combination of two different terms. Okay, dev and operations, and that's what we call DevOps. So in any IT company, okay, wherever you go, whomever you talk to, so the basic thing that people talk about is that um, operations and development. Hey, are you a developer? Do you write code? Or hey, are you in operations? Do you manage servers? Okay, these are the things that we always talk about. So as a developer's main responsibility is always to write code. The code that he writes should be compiled. The code that he gets compiled has to be built, and it has to be tested, and that has to be released. Okay. So basically that's what the developer does. Developers is all about, he writes the code, he builds the logic, right? The UI developer, front-end developer, back-end developer, they write huge code. And whatever the code that they write, that has to be tested, that has to be validated, and that has to undergo a lot of testing phases. Finally, it gets approved and then it gets released. And the operations, right? The operations guys are primarily responsible of installations, configurations, installations, configurations, like monitoring, upgrades, and finally stability. So I don't want to talk about all of this, but I'll talk about just two terms here. One, stability. Any idea about what is stability, guys? In terms of IT, by the way, or let's start with a non-IT meaning of stability. What is mean by stability?
Consistency with zero errors, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
giving a constant output according to the requirement.
Yes, exactly. Now,
sometimes we say it as a error free.
yes, true. How about others? Any other idea on what do you think stability is? Simple. Okay. Let's say you are booking, you're ordering your food in Zomato. Okay. You try to order a food now and it failed for some reasons. It says that, hey, please come back again later. We are busy. That's okay. For the very first time, it happens. You open it for the next time and you encounter the same problem. You're not able to place the order. When you consistently see that Zomato is not able to fulfill the requirement of allowing you to order a food, what is that you think? What goes in your mind at that point of time, guys? You think that like, these guys are not stable, and that might also lead you to uninstall that app as well, because we hardly see a couple of times if it doesn't work. Okay, that's okay. I don't want to use that, right? We remove that. You open some banking sites, and for some reasons you're not able to access it. You have to send a transaction, you have to do a transaction online now, it's very urgent for you, but you open it, you see that they say that, hey, we are in maintenance, and it happens couple of times. What will be your thought process at that point of time, guys? What do you think? So they're not offering you right services, right? They're not giving you better service. Then you look for an alternative. So at this point of time, there are so many alternatives that if one vendor is failing to offer you a better service, people always shift to the other services immediately. If Swiggy is not giving you right response, you always go with Zomato. If Uber is not responding you properly, you shift to Ola or something else, right? So that's how it happens. So stability is all about that, making sure your service is 100% available. So there is a lot of effort goes in the back end, guys. Okay, we'll discuss them. That's not the point here, but the point is to make you understand what stability is. Okay, so no matter when I access the site, no matter when I access the given service, it should be accessible for me with what it is expected to do. That's what a stability is all about, right? So that is what taken care by the operations team. Okay, now one more question. How many of you use AHA app? Like Prime app, we have AHA app, we have Z5. Like how many of you use AHA? I mean, Allu Arjun's app.
Yes, yes, I'm using that.
Hmm. Do you use it?
Yes.
Ram uses it. Okay. Now, did you face any difficulty while using it, that AHA app? Like you cannot forward the video, at least I know. Do you have you feel that? Have you ever felt that?
Yes, so many times.
So you wanted to skip something, like you're watching a movie, you watched 1 hour and you want to go out, and you go and you come back and you cannot resume it from there. Either you have to start from the beginning, or if you have missed something, you want to go back, or you want to forward, you cannot do that. So that future, meaning ability for you to continue where you have stopped watching the app movie and continuing from the same place, is something that has to be designed and developed by who? The development team. So that is something not handled by the operations. I think I'm just trying to make a difference between what development team does and what operations team do. Okay. So introducing some UI, and you open Netflix has a beautiful UI, right? It loads up faster, even goes with the Prime. But all the other latest apps that you see, Z5 and all, they are improving. But AHA is very new. Okay. And they don't have, they lack a lot of features in it. It's all the developers work to introduce all of them as part of their code. So developers are primarily responsible of designing something. The moment you open AHA, you see look and feel, something comes on the left, something comes on the right, then the movie starts rolling. Sometimes search doesn't work properly. Okay, you might not uh, feel the UI is proper. Sometimes you feel that it is not designed properly. So all of the, or when any app that you start using, sometimes you feel that, okay, if ఇలా ఉండకూడదు, right, it should be something else. ఇలా కాకుండా ఇంకోలాగా ఉంటే బాగుండేది. It's like these kind of questions you might have encountered at some point of time while you're using some or the other app. And all of those are something that has to be done by the dev team. And once that software is ready, that future is ready, and how that has to be installed, configured, managed, is something is handled by the operations team. So throughout this IT industry from past 2000, before 2007, they worked in a different way, where these two guys never had an opportunity to talk to each other. Like development team doesn't know there is an operations team, or even if they know, they don't know what operations teams are responsible of. They don't know what are servers, what are data centers and things. And operations teams, they don't know coding. They don't know what is Java. They don't know what is .NET. They don't know how the Java code works. They lack all of that, understanding of each other. Because of which, designing a solution, creation of those applications used to take a lot of time. Like if you have your uncles, aunts, or your brothers working in IT, like if they have 10 plus years of experience, talk to them, understand how it used to work back then. They'll tell you one server application, they deploy it into 5,000 servers, 10,000 servers manually, and it will take 1 year time. Upgrades used to take years of time, but now that's not the case, guys. Okay, we'll see how. So there are different definitions for DevOps, but the ideal way is that DevOps is all about combination of dev and ops team. Okay, and Wikipedia has some statement. Okay, where it's a practice. Basically, it's all about the practice which increases the development cycles, deployment frequency, more dependable releases, close alignment with business objectives. That's the whole idea behind DevOps. Okay, you don't have to worry about that thing, by the way. Okay, so let's get to the other thing that we have. What?
Shiva,
Yeah.
what is meant by deployment frequency?
So now I told about the AHA, right? Now you are the client.
Yes.
Now you are the client. Okay, so usually AHA is something that we are
Mm,
using as end users, but imagine AHA is a proprietary. You are a developer now. Okay, I am someone who gave you a project that I need something like AHA, and you designed it to me, and I am the one who is paying you now.
mm,
I say that, hey, Bhargavi, I would need this feature of forwarding the video in next 1 week. Okay, because I'm paying you, that's a project. Now you have a manager and everything. Now your job as a developer is to what? Build that future and release that in next 1 week. Getting my point? So,
Yes.
so as and when there is a new requirement, or as and when there is a new change, that has to be addressed and that code has to be released immediately. That is what we call deployment. Now, I'll give you another example. So let's say you are using a brand new phone. Okay, maybe there is a new Android phone that came into the market, or iPhone came into the market, and you hear people saying that, right? Hey, my phone is getting heated up, or some app is not working as expected, or you upgraded your operating system, something is not working. So what is the next thing that you hear? Next thing that happens? So maybe Apple or Samsung or OnePlus, they will immediately release a new patch, right? New upgrade, and you install that. That problem that you have is gone. Did you ever felt that?
No, actually.
Okay. So, you see WhatsApp as well. We frequently update them. What is the purpose of updating those apps? You get
Yes.
new features, right? So
Yes.
that is what we call deployment frequency. So in the organizations, Netflix, right? Netflix does deployments every 2 minutes. Okay. So like this, the frequency of time that you build your code, you apply the changes is what we call deployment as. Okay. Understand that WhatsApp example that I gave you. So if there is some issue in WhatsApp, if you want to fix that, they'll have to release a new patch or new update. You install that update, everything works fine. Okay, that is what we call as deployment in the actual scenario. Okay, we'll talk about that, but understand for that now. Okay, it's all about getting the new features or fixing the errors that you already have is what we call deployments as.
Thank you, Shiva.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of people think that DevOps is a tool. Not really, guys. Okay, DevOps is basically a methodology. It's an idea behind how you build things, which works for you, which addresses your challenges, and which will fix your problems. And that might not work for others. Okay, if I am building a solution for XYZ company, and that solution is only designed for that XYZ, if you want to replicate that to someone else, that might not work for them, because it's a methodology. I need to understand your problems, and based on that, I'm supposed to fix that. Okay, that's the whole idea behind it. It's a methodology. People think it's a tool and all, but we leverage a lot of tools. We use a lot of tools, a collection of tools. We integrate them together to make this process so simple, so seamless. And we would need tools to achieve that. But DevOps itself as a whole is not a tool. It's a methodology. It's a strategy that we build basically. And DevOps is not a standard. Standard is like, you know, a set of procedures that we follow, which will apply for everyone. No. So things that work for me might not work for you. Things that work for you might not work for some other person. So it's not a standard though, and it's not a product. So it's not something that I package and give it to you as solution. No. And moreover, it's not a job title as well. But I should roll out this option, by the way. Now people call themselves as DevOps engineers, and there are a lot of hiring happening with DevOps engineer name and all. But yeah, so that's how it works. So where it all started, by the way, like the IT is there since like past maybe 20, 30 years or 40 years, 50 years. I'm not really sure, but I'm very sure that DevOps has started somewhere in 2007. You see this guy, right? This guy is a Patrick. Okay, Patrick DeBois, basically. This guy is a frustrated manager, by the way. Okay, because of frustration, and he thought of building a solution, and that solution that we are talking about is all DevOps. Okay, I'll tell you a story. No worries. I'll make you understand how it all started, by the way. Now, usually, as a manager, Patrick DuBois is someone who is very good back then. He is a developer, by the way. So back then, developer is a developer, operations guy is operations. And operations guy never thought of learning development. Development guys never thought of learning operations. But this guy, for some reasons, He is very good in both. He was a developer. He was into operations before he became a manager for some company. Okay, let's not talk about that, some XYZ company. So these guys knows both, meaning because all his IT experience, he did work as an operations engineer, maybe a system admin, something, and he did develop some code. He is also developer. He knows both the sides of it. So he started in some XYZ company as a manager, and his job in his in the company was to resolve conflicts. Telugulo panchayati antam kada. And all of you can understand Telugu, right? Is there anyone who doesn't understand Telugu? I don't think. Yeah. So this guy's job is to resolve those conflicts. Conflicts between who? Conflicts between development team and operations team. What are the conflicts? Operations guys, like, they're very straightforward. They have charts. Like, they say that, hey, this is server. Let's say they say that, hey, my server is up. Okay, I have a better RAM utilization. I have better CPU utilization. My disk is okay. I don't think problem is with me, but the problem is with the code. మీరు రాసిన కోడ్ సరిగ్గా పనిచేయట్లేదు, నాకు తెలియదు. Okay, you see this Shennu's thing, right? Software engineer something. There is a web series. You get to hear these terms. Code ఎమ్మటే ఫిక్స్ చేయాలి, some problems వస్తున్నాయి, client ఒప్పుకోవట్లేదు, whatever things. Ultimately, you have designed some software which is used by a client. Now, client is facing the problem, saying that something is not working. Just like you brought a new phone, or you have a new appliance, maybe fridge or washing machine, something is not working. What is it you do? You raise a call, right? You talk to the company because you have warranty, guarantee, whatever. You talk to them and they send you an engineer who will fix it. Now, client is having a problem, and we are the engineers because we are supporting the client. Now it comes to the operations team. Their job is to make sure stability, right? They always wanted the servers to be up and running, and that's what they do. It's there. Cold problem, it's not my thing, right? It's something that developer has to take care, which is development team. So as this guy is someone who has both the understandings, he used to spend lot of his time in resolving those conflicts between development team and operations team, so that they could satisfy their clients in terms of resolving the issues. So that's how we thought. And in the same year, agile is also starting, guys. Agile is other confusing term, as will be for you as of now, but you will get that clarification once we started we start looking into the sessions and all. But don't bother about that. So there is other movement that is happening, okay, where we call it agile. Okay, just like we have elections all throughout India, right? In like UP elections was done simultaneously, some other elections, and there could be two issues running parallelly. In the same way, these are two big changes that were happening back then in 2007 simultaneously, where some people were talking about agile, and this guy wanted to talk about the issues that he had by addressing. So there were some meetings going on. He went to the meeting, and where they started talking about DevOps. And when he started interacting with all the managers in the conferences, right, everyone was having the same problem, that most of their day is spent in resolving the conflicts between development team and operations team, and they're not able to meet the timelines. And that's when this guy, Patrick, hosted its DevOps Day in Ghent, which is in Belgium, a conference which included both development teams and operations teams. And he started explaining things, his experience that he has and the problems that he has and the kind of solution that he was building to resolve it. So finally, on the Twitter, they started this movement called hashtag DevOps. And that's the key, guys. That's where this DevOps has started. And trust me, it has changed the way we have worked in the past 30, 40 years in IT. The way developers were working, the way the operations team was working, everything has changed. Now, today, every organization wants to be a DevOps. They wanted to get into DevOps because of uh, the flexibility that it gives the organization, the kind of cost it saves for the organizations, right? So it is tremendous. Now everyone wants to get into DevOps. And that's the reason people are hiring DevOps engineers. Now, who is everyone here? right? Everyone is, when I say everyone, all the organizations. If you want to start your own company now as a startup, you develop some product, right? Now, as long as you are talking about development, right? As long as you're talking about development, there includes operations. And whenever these both are there, undoubtedly, you will have to build a DevOps team. And that's the reason there is so much of demand in the market. And there is so much of scarcity for the resources as well. The demand is so huge. No one thought that it would grow in such a smaller time. It has went to peaks that there is so much of demand and there is a lack of resources, and that's where this gap comes in terms of hiring, because of which every organization is paying huge sum to the engineers. If you are a DevOps engineer and you are willing to join my company, and this is what I'm going to pay you, so that they won't go elsewhere, and they wanted that specific person to join in the client or that organizations. They are paying huge salaries, they are giving a lot of incentives for the people to get into it. Okay, and that's where we are here discussing all of these things, right? You also felt that there is a demand in the market, and that's what we are gathered here to discuss and understand what it is all about. So today it has become kind of mainstream. Everyone is talking about DevOps, and there are a lot of tools available, variety of tools are available, and trust me, it has changed the IT industry forever. Now, no way looking back. Down the line, next 25, 30 years, everyone will become a DevOps company, one single click deployments. Okay, all of these things. So let's understand, like we discuss theoretically what it is and all. Let's have a couple of, I have put a couple of slides here, which will make you more clear of how this actually works. The main difference between the traditional aspect, traditional in the sense, the legacy one, that the way IT was before 2007, and the IT now after 2007 is what I'm going to tell you. See, traditional versus DevOps. If you look at here, in the traditional way that I was talking about before 2007, everyone has different goals. Like in the blame game, operations team is, guys, I am not really bothered about the application, its availability. I am only bothered about whether my server is up and running or not. And this guy is a speed development capabilities are determined in terms of the speed. What is the speed? How frequently you can bring the changes? How frequently can you fix the issues? How frequently can you eliminate the errors, right? How frequently you can give me a new future is what we calculated the capability of the development teams. And stability, no matter what, at any given point of time, my client should be able to access my website. They should be able to do the transactions. If it is down for 1 minute, if it is down for 1 hour, I'm going to lose a lot of revenue, by the way. So the operations team capability is determined by this stability. So they too has different goals altogether. They worked in differently. So they always had a conflict between them. అరే బాబు నువ్వేమన్నా చేసుకో, నాకు తెలియదు, నా సర్వర్ అయితే అప్పు ఉంది. అరే బాబు నా కోడ్ నా లోకల్లో పనిచేస్తున్నది నా ల్యాప్టాప్ లో, బట్ ఇట్ ఇస్ నాట్ వర్కింగ్ ఇన్ యువర్ సర్వర్. Okay, this is a general conversation that they have. But with DevOps, that's not the story, guys. It has changed everything. It's like manager is like, okay, for every development team, I'm giving an operations. Okay, you get involved in both the discussions and everything. No matter what, your goal, both of your goal is to have speed and stability. Now, both development team and operations team have the same goal, and that is speed and stability. When they have the same goal, they work together no matter what. They start exchanging their ideas, they start discussing the issues, they start fixing those issues together. They don't feel that, okay, this is not this is not my problem. They don't feel that this is not your problem. Okay, so that's how the things work in the DevOps, guys. I'll take a pause here. Anyone has any questions? Is it clear so far that whatever we have discussed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the story of some code, like a small story here for you to make understand. Like you see, we have put 3 different teams here, like a development team, and QA team operation. QA is quality analysis. Like if you design any product, that product has to be tested, validated. Like anything you buy, say it's been tested, quality assured, right? And there are a lot of organizations who does that. But here in IT, we call it QA team, quality analysis. Operations, we just talked about. Developers, you know what they do. So let's say developer has written a code, okay, some code, and the stages are like the code goes into QA team. QA guys does the testing, all the testing, everything, validations, all of those things, and they send it to the operations. And operations guys' job is to deploy it. Now, say client is coming now, it says that hey, something is not working. Now, what this guy will tell, our systems are fine, it's your code. Then this guy is like, but the code works on my machine. The thing is, testing locally versus testing it in the actual client environments is not the same, guys. Why it is not the same? I'll give you a different example. My examples will always be something relevant to the day-to-day activities that we do, guys, so that you understand the concept. We all have the cars, right? And you all know cars, bikes, and all. What is the speed of any normal bike that we drive? 180 kilometers per hour, right? Yes or no? Or car maybe 220 kilometers per hour is what they say. And they tell you that these vehicles give you 20 liters or 20 kilometers per hour, the mileage. But when you actually drive, it gives you half of it, 10 kilometers. Why is that? Why is that difference in between 10, 20 kilometers? They tell you
Well,
we have,
they,
yeah, go ahead.
I think, while we take any product, they are saying about the standard condition, standard working conditions. But when it
Yes,
comes to the real-time scenario, the working conditions are not as same as the standard conditions. They may be different.
exactly. So
So
when they're
due to that,
testing it,
the
yes, when they're testing it, they test it in a controlled manner. Like there won't be any traffic. Okay, everything is set. They just pour some petrol or fuel into it, and no speeds. The roads are okay. Everything is was okay. So they have tested in environment where everything is set. But in the real environments, we have a traffic, right? The persons who drives are not experts. We sometimes we go in a high speed, we do less low speed. Okay, the petrol, but the fuel that we are using might not be suitable for it because of it, the quality of it might not be good. All of these factors will contribute, which will make that 20 miles or 20 kilometers per hour to 10 kilometers per hour, whatever the mileage that gives you, right? So the testing conditions are always perfect because we make them perfect. But when you are actually working in the actual environment, you might not expect the same results. It could be, if you talk about the IT, the actual organizations, the servers that you are using here might not be the same. Here you might be using Windows 7, let's say example. There he might be using Linux. Okay. Here you might be using 8 GB RAM. There he might be using only 4 GB RAM. Okay, here you have full permissions to make things work. Here you have restricted permissions because in productions not everyone will have all the permission. There are restrictions. So these are the conditions that will vary. So that's what developer always said, the code worked on my local PC, why it is not working here? Because they don't know how the servers work. And these guys like, I'm not really bothered about your laptop because production is not your laptop, right? We have physical servers and I'm not responsible for fix it. So this game is a very common situation between this development and operations team, guys. And how did this solve in the DevOps basically? How did it go? But before that, um, let's see the challenges that we have in the process of traditional methods. Black boxes, meaning like operations team doesn't know how development will work. Development team doesn't know how the operations work. And QA in between, they just chill and enjoy between the quarrel between the development and operations. Lengthy process, like developer has to write the code, it has to go to the QA has to send it to operations, again they deploy. If something is not working, again they'll send it back to QA, from QA to dev. So this is a lengthy process which takes a lot of time. And that's the reason back then, right, to develop one simple software, developers used to work 2 years, 3 years in one project. They say that, hey, I'm part of this project. Since when are you working? Since my childhood. Like I've been working in from past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. But that's not the case as of today. We'll see why. Lack of automations. People used to do all of these things manually. Exchange the code over mails. Exchange the code via the servers, which used to take a lot of time uploading, downloading, zipping, and all of those things. It takes a longer time to identify the fix and problem. So once the developer comes, the client comes with some issue, right? Saying that, hey, something is not working expected. So identifying that issue, fixing that, and resolving it used to take a lot of time. So these are the challenges, few challenges, okay, out of all that we have, we get in the traditional methods. But if you look at the DevOps, see, very simple, very streamlined, straightforward. Everything is automated. You don't have to do anything. We use tools, by the way. In between, we have tools which will help in achieving this, but understand the idea behind it. So now, as far I told you, right, they work as a team now. And the moment developer commit the changes means he's confirming that, okay, this is what the client has requested for, and I have made those changes. They are ready now. The moment the code gets committed, it gets built, it gets tested, integrated, tested, and finally it gets deployed. Deployment ayapayaka, what is the next thing? Whether it is working properly, it is up or not, it is down. That's where the monitoring plays a very major role. We call it continuous monitoring, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring. So what does this monitoring system will do? Now let's say I have a server. Okay, there is some, maybe your Facebook app is running here. Some, imagine the Facebook app. So this monitoring server will always look into Facebook. Are you okay? This sends a response, hey brother, I'm always okay. Okay, don't worry. So this, we call it as heartbeat, by the way. So the servers communicate with each other via heartbeat. And at some point, let's say if FB is not working. Now this guy will tell you, hey FB, are you there? It will check twice, once, twice, thrice, just to make sure there is no false alarms. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's not responding. Now what it will do is that it will raise an alert to the teams, DevOps team, saying that, hey, FB app is not responding. Now let's go and have a look at it. So before even the client knows there is a problem, we identify them as part of DevOps team. And our job is to fix that. And if something is not working here, let's say there was an issue. So there was some wrong parameter defined, which is causing the FB to go down. And developer knows it immediately. He does that change. He commits the code again within no time. The code is now built, integrated, tested, deploy, and it says that, hey brother, I'm alive now. Okay, thanks for bringing me back. So that's what this monitoring does, and which plays a major role here. Okay, so that's how this thing works, guys. DevOps, and our job is to build these kind of systems. Okay, now the clients don't know where to start, how to start, and they would need your expertise in building these things. Okay, or there is a huge project that you are building and they would need you to be a contributor. So the positions could be anything, but you're part of this big team, which is DevOps. So where we talk about development, we talk about testing, we talk about integrations, we talk about automations, we talk about deployment, we talk about monitoring. So as a DevOps engineer, the expectation from the organizations is that they want you to know everything, right from like what developer does to the monitoring. And that's what this course will help you in achieving. So you don't have to be master of everything, but you should know those things, like why they are you being used and where they are being used and how the things work. So what went right with the DevOps? So Dev and Ops work together to build a robust way of changing code quality and reliability. Automation lead to consistency. So you are not doing it manually. So when you are not doing things manually, right, there is no chance in going wrong. When you do it manually, sometimes you might misspell it, you might do a misconfigurations. It's very quite common that we do mistakes. Manual errors are always there. So automations, we overcome those manual errors. And good monitoring plus the swift deployment process ensures problems can be fixed even before users notified them. Okay, so that's how this thing basically works, guys. And what are we achieving out of this? What are the clients achieving out of this DevOps and all? Happier teams, happier customers. The customer is happy because their team that he has hired is able to fix the problems as and when they arrive. They are making sure the environment is stable, and the developers are working towards building new features, and client is obviously happy, and teams are happy because there are no conflicts, there are no quarrels, there are no black boxes. Everyone knows what is happening as part of the team. Okay, so this is a story behind DevOps, guys. Like, I haven't talked about how are we integrating tools and everything, but before we get to that, you should understand, knowing the history is very, very important. Knowing the advantage of it is very, very important, and what we achieve out of it, knowing it is also very, very important. And that's what my key focus of this session, for someone coming from a different background, understanding what DevOps is. Now you can talk to anyone who is a DevOps guy, you can tell this is how it works and all, right? You're in that situation now. So any questions now? I think that's all I have for today. Before we go further, the whole idea is to make you understand what DevOps is all about. And trust me, you will be in a state of building all of these things, whatever I'm talking about: continuous monitoring, continuous integration, deployment. All of this is something that you will do it by yourself as part of, as and when we get into the classes and things. So it's your turn, guys. Now I'm done with what I have to tell you. Now feel free to go and ask questions.
Shiva sir.
Yep.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, Bhargavi, go ahead.
You said that in the development side, we need to write code using JavaScript and Python. So, do we need to learn all these languages?
So yeah, so basically, not really. See, I don't know coding, by the way. Let me be very frank on that. I don't code, neither I know coding, but we should understand it. Okay. See, writing a Java code is not our cup of tea. Okay, it's not something that we do. Now, Java or .NET or be it anything, okay, any code that we're talking about in terms of application development, app development, it is all taken care by development teams. We are not responsible for it, but we are responsible in automation, where we also write a code. Okay, the code that I'm talking about is basically YAML. JSON, Terraform, okay, shell scripts, Python. Python, we use it for automation. So basically, I mean, these are not coding. We call it scripting languages. Okay, where let's say you have to install some package on 100 servers. You cannot manually go ahead and install that package on all the 100 login and all, right? Rather, you will write a simple for loop, and which will do the task for you, and you just execute it. It will go into all the 100 servers, do the specific job for you, and the code gets exited. So that kind of code you will have to write, and you will learn that, like YAML, JSON, Terraform code, while we are learning. So this is not a big deal in learning these things. But you are not going to write a Java code. You are not going to write a Python code here. Okay. So the tools that we are talking about,
Thank God.
example, yeah. So trust me, when I say I don't know coding, I'm out of it. I don't code, by the way. And yeah. So when you talk about Jenkins, right? Jenkins has few coding, like very simple coding. And Ansible, which is an automation tool, it has some coding where they use AML. Terraform, which is very popular tool now, which uses Terraform
Infrastructure as
language.
a code.
Yes, exactly. They use Terraform code, Terraform language we call TFL. So they have their own native languages which are very simple, okay, which you can learn with a bit of practice. There is no big deal in it, but you don't have to learn Java, writing those classes and those things. No. Any more questions?
And the scripting is not much complicated.
No, it's not complicated. See, even the learning the technology is not complicated as long as you understand it, right? My idea is simple, guys. Scripting, or like at least the automation, right? You need to understand the logic. Syntax, you will find it in the internet, but logic you will never find in the internet. Get my point? So any coding language, all you need to do is you need to understand the logic. So
Yeah.
as long as you know the logic, writing the syntax is very simple. Get into Google and then you will find hundreds of syntaxes available for you to fix things. But logic is something that you understand. But where the logic will come from? Logic will come from your understanding of the problem that you have, right? So
Okay.
when can you understand a problem? When you have a wider scope of the technology that you're working on, the tools that you're working on, right? So yeah, automation is simple as long as you can build the logic, and building a logic will be easier when you know the technology. Even right, like when we do the interviews and all, people will ask you, hey, can you write a code for me? I'm very straightforward. I tell them that, hey, I don't know the syntax. I'll build the logic for you. They say that, okay, well, logic is fine. Syntax, you can find it in the internet. That's what every developer does, right? In fact, without Google, half of the developers will be out of their jobs now, or anybody for that matter. So you need to understand what you have to search in the Google, but what should be searched in the Google is something that you get by logic, and logic, you will not get it in the Google, guys. That's your thought process. That's your way of understanding the problem. So that's something that you will have to build whenever you are getting into any technology. Got it?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So let me start with things like when we talk about DevOps, guys, it's very complex. Trust me on that. And at least for new guys like you coming from a non-technical background, it's not simple to get into DevOps. But with better planning, better focus, you can excel in DevOps. You can become an expert in DevOps within no time. Okay, down the lane. So I'll tell you the differences and where we have to start things and all. See, you all are using Facebook. Okay, like I said, I'll always give you some problems which you can understand, you can relate to. I know, like, everyone is using Facebook here, like includes WhatsApp, Instagram, or Snapchat, whatever, the daily apps that we use. Now tell me, you as a client, you are enjoying the product, okay? But someone who is working for Facebook in the back end, what is their job? Get my point, right? So Facebook also has developers. Facebook also has operations team. They have their own responsibility that we talked about. Developers in Facebook, you want a new feature, developer does that. And operations team is always make sure that your Facebook app is up and running all the time. Have you ever seen Facebook going down, by the way? You might have seen your ICICI banks or SBI banks, at least in the rural areas. This, you want to do a transaction, they say that, hey, server is down, come after 1 hour or 2 hours. You see those things, but have you ever seen Facebook going down? There are hardly couple of instances, and they restored back within no time, by the way. Okay. Sometimes your IRCTC doesn't work. Okay. Could be a problem. So they have some responsibilities in the back end to fix it. But you as a client, you're enjoying the product. But what do you think in the back end Facebook would be doing at a high level? Like what kind of infrastructure they would need in the back end? Where do you think the Facebook application runs? No idea. If you no idea, just tell me no idea so that I understand. Hello?
No idea, sir.
No idea. Fine, that's okay. Now, so this is an app. Understand? See, Don't think in a very high level. Okay, the answers are very low level answers that you can I'm expecting. So sometimes you think very high and you miss out the basics. Okay, just stick to the basics here. I am running an application. Okay, now let's say you are using FB client application. Now what is that you need in order to install a FB app? One is server, okay, and one is client that you are using. Now you need to install some app. What is it you need? Basic thing.
Application. I mean,
Application is
APK
there.
file.
Application is there. The file is there. You would need what? Phone, right? You want to install some app, you would need a phone, isn't it? Now, how many types of phones do we have? Like phone is what? Phone is a physical hardware. Okay. Meaning now, whenever you are buying a phone now, you do a lot of Googling, YouTube videos, say it is Snapdragon 620s, some XYZ, M1 chip, blah, blah, with 4 GB memory, 8 GB memory, right? Camera is this much, camera focus is this much. You concentrate on all the physical aspects. That is a physical hardware. I call it as what? Hardware. On top of this hardware, what do we have? We have two major platforms. One is
Android.
iOS, other is Android, right? On top of that is what you are going to install your application. Now you understood? Now, in order to install application, I would need a hardware, which is my phone with XYZ memory, CPU, whatever, followed by the operating system, be it iOS or Android. And on top of that, I'm going to install. Same goes with FB as well in the backend. The server, they would need what? Physical server, which has RAM, CPU, network, disk, and they will have what? Operating system. On top of that, they will have their application running, FB app. So billions of people are using FB. Do you think one server will be sufficient? Now, let's say
No.
you are working, you are a marketing guy or something. Now, at least now two phones have become very common for everyone, right? We maintain two phones, one for maybe for personal purpose, one for could be our work purpose. Like that's our need. But and also there is availability. One phone goes down, like maybe battery is out, you still have the other phone through which you can make calls, right? So FB, such a huge organizations, they cannot run the application on one server. So sometimes this one server might get rebooted. Maybe the RAM chip might go down, or CPU might not be working fine, or there could be power issues. In that case, if this server is down, let's say, will you be able to access the FB application?
No.
No. So how do you think they maintain that? So they are going to build huge data centers. We call it what? Data centers. These data centers are nothing but a centralized location where they have hundreds and thousands of servers. Let me quickly show you that. This is just to make you understand what it is, guys. Okay. If you're not aware, you can you have a lot of videos on the YouTube. Okay, let me clear this. Okay, I don't want to clear that, but you see this picture, right? This picture here is a data center. Like all of these are servers here. Okay, it's not very clear though because I have something written on my screen. But yeah, this is a data center, guys, with hundreds and thousands of this thing. You know the Billa, right? In movie Billa, he puts a small pen drive and he copies the data from a server. But if you watched English movies like Mission Impossible and all, he gets into a data center, they hack those servers and all, right? So that's what they hack the data center. Data center is a place where you have physical servers, storage, network, data, and everything. And it's not that easy to create these data centers. You would need millions and billions of rupees to build that huge data center. Now, how do you think startup companies like Swiggy, okay, Flipkart, Zomato, and there are hundreds of applications now. How do you think they have come such a long way? Do you think they have invested so much of money in the data center in buying the hardware? No. Then what did they do, guys? Any questions, any guesses on that? How did they overcome the challenge? Like, see, simple requirement. If you want to build an application, you would need a hardware. Hardware will cost you huge money, lakhs and crores of rupees. And if I am a startup, if I would like to build my applications, I cannot just put all the money I have in the physical hardware. If I do so, I don't have money for operations. So what is solution do you think we have as of today? No worries. I'll give you one more example and I'll come back to the, if you know Sujit, you can please tell me. If not, I'll give you one more example and then I'll come back to the answer.
Renting the services.
Renting the services.
We'll make use of budget.
We'll make use
Yeah.
of? What is that?
Virtual. We'll make use of
Cloud.
virtual machine.
Yes, cloud.
Cloud will use.
Exactly, guys. Cloud. Now let's say
We
I'm
use
going.
cloud.
Exactly. Cloud is a solution. No matter what, why people are getting into cloud, I can rent it. Now,
It's like a rental server.
exactly, it's a rental server. Now, these cloud offerings, that they're different vendors again. Like we want to order some food, there are competition, right? There is Zomato, there is Uber Food or Food Panda, or there is all of these guys are there to serve you food. Okay, everyone does it differently. The same way, cloud is an offering where they rent you resources. You don't have to buy, you use their services, you pay them monthly rental. That's it. That's the whole concept behind the cloud, guys. Nothing less, nothing more. They are rental services. They give you servers, you build your application, you start using them, and you have used for maybe 40 hours, 50 hours a month, you pay for that specific amount of hours that you have used. It's that simple. And the vendors that we have in the market is AWS, Amazon Web Services, Azure, GCP, Google Cloud Platform. And apart from this, there are other hundreds of services providers available. Alibaba, so many. Should we learn all of this cloud? Like ultimately now, you as a DevOps engineer, you are going to automate. See, this is where the link comes into picture. Like, okay, now you understood this concept, right? The thing that I'm trying to do. Now let me talk about two things here. I'll clean this thing now. So you have your applications. Applications would need servers. Servers are running in data centers, and those are maintained by DC engineers, and ultimately it is going to cost you bomb. So with DevOps, everyone is moving into cloud. You say that, hey, I don't really bother about data center, your engineers and everything. You give me a server. Okay, my job is to deploy the application onto server. Now I am someone who is hiring. I tell the boss, this server is in AWS now. Okay. Now, do you want me to hire a separate AWS engineer? Sorry, I can't do that. You being a DevOps engineer, I would expect that you also know how AWS works or cloud works for that matter. So DevOps knowledge without AWS is of no use. Now, people will say that, hey, I'm an AWS engineer. Really good. Very good. You might be germ, but I'm not looking for someone who is an AWS expert. I want someone who can manage my applications on top of AWS. Okay. So 90% or 99% of the jobs that you apply as a DevOps engineer, AWS engineer would expect you know both AWS and DevOps as a whole. See, it's a hiring process, guys. When I'm hiring, I would want to hire a Superman. Okay. When I say Superman, he knows everything. But once I hire you, it doesn't matter whether you are a Hulk or you are a Thor, doesn't matter what your expertise is. And I'll make sure you work in your expertise. But I expect that you know everything end to end. Okay, so this is the where people are lacking knowledge. So when they say that, hey, I'm teaching DevOps, they tell you, hey, I'll teach you Git, I'll teach you Jenkins, but that's okay. You know how these tools work, but how about the basics, right? These tools are built on top of operating system. Operating system is undoubtedly Linux. If something is not working as expected, you are going to work on Linux. You have to debug via Linux. Now, I have seen people who come to me say that, hey, I'm a DevOps engineer. I have learned DevOps, and they don't know. When I ask them like, what operating system? What is that? I don't know operating system. Our sir didn't tell us what is operating system. And where does this run? This runs on the servers in the backend. And where are the servers? I told you virtualization. These servers are virtualized. In the cloud also, we are using VMs, virtual machines. Now, what is a VM? Where does it run? How did it perform? Where is the hardware coming from? So these basics is what I always tell are very, very important. Once you are well versed with the basics, you can work in any technology. That's how things work. Because as a trainer, I cannot spoon feed you every project that you're going to work. Like I said, DevOps is a strategy. DevOps is a methodology. If I am doing some XYZ job in one company, one project one, which will last for let's say 3 to 6 months, in the next project ABC, whatever you have done in the 6 months might not work here. But you might be using same tools in a different way because the methodology changes, the strategy changes. But how do you adapt to those strategies is when you have the basics right. So in order to learn DevOps, we need a better understanding. I'm saying understanding and a bit of hands-on experience. Linux, virtualization, cloud, DevOps. In DevOps, there are a lot of tools like example, Git, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes. There are so many. Okay, we'll talk about them later, but this is how it is. So our main focus will start with Linux, where you will understand what Linux is all about, how virtualization works. We get into cloud concepts, AWS primarily. And you might ask me why AWS? Because it is one of the leading AWS or cloud platform as of today in the market. Okay, we have more number of clients using AWS, so we expect more number of jobs on it. But I don't say that Azure and GCP are not that popular. They are still there, but the demand for them as of now is very less compared with AWS. So that's the reason we are looking into AWS. And trust me, if you are getting into AWS concepts, you can work in any other platform, guys. No doubt about that. Okay, it's like um, if you know how to ride a car, right, be it Maruti or Hyundai, you learn in a Maruti 800 car, you can still drive an XUV, right? You can still ride Audi or BMW. It's a concept that you need to understand. Okay, so it's that easy. Okay, working in a cloud, if you know AWS, you can always work in Azure and DevOps, Azure and GCP as well. So that's how it works, guys. And we will be laying foundation right from the very basics to advanced, where right after the sessions, you will be able to showcase some experience saying that, hey, I'm having around 5+ years of experience, but relevant into DevOps, I have around 2.5 to 3 years. You can straight away tell that, provided you are able to follow whatever I'm telling you. You are able to practice, spend some time, read the documents that I'm going to share, complete the practicals that I'm giving you, and you will be in a situation where you can showcase 3+ years of experience right away in a DevOps and get into a good role, which pays you decent salary, and where you don't have to look back again down the lane next 10-15 years. Yep. Any questions, guys?
No.
So now you guys feel comfortable? Did I answer all the questions you have, clarified all the doubts that you have? And if you still have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here. Okay. So if no questions, guys, or if you have any questions, you can always feel free to call me on phone. I am available. I can take your calls and clarify. And coming back to the sessions, we have these sessions every day from Monday, 8 p.m., like 8 in the night evening to 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Initially, we will have 1 hour sessions till you guys get comfortable, till you have all the environments ready locally or in the remote cloud. Once you're comfortable with the basics, we will extend that sessions to 1.5 hours. And when we get into the core concepts, that might go up to 2 hours as well. Okay. So like schedule your time next 1.5 month as 8 to 10 o'clock is a fixed time that you will spend it for DevOps. Okay. And we have the batch starting from Monday evening 8 o'clock. And the link will remain same for the next 1 hour. Next 1 week. After that, the link will change. So anyone has concerns in the timings?
So can you repeat the timings?
8 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. 8 p.m. from Monday.
So actually, I'm currently working. Actually, my shift goes until 9:30. So then, how?
Okay. How about others? Like others are comfortable with the time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll do one thing, Sujit. I'll talk to all of. Did you all share your details here, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Because that will help me in calling you back and taking your feedback, understand your situation, and then suggest. Okay. Yes. If you haven't shared the details, please share. I'll get in touch with you, Sujit. I'll talk to everyone, and I'll come back with a solution to this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the recording for this, the link for this recording will be shared with you, and also will be uploaded to YouTube, guys. And every day, the sessions that we are going to cover will be shared with you via Google Drive, followed by the documents and the practical sessions, the exercises that you are supposed to do. And the very next day, you will be completing those exercises. And if you have any questions, I'll be clarifying that first. After that, I'll get into the next concepts. Okay. So yeah, and we will meet on Monday, guys, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. And meanwhile, I'll give you a call, or feel free to call me if you have any questions. And let me share my number right in the chat.
Shiva, am I audible? My voice is on.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, from Monday to total week, right?
So initially it will be Monday to Friday. Like I said, I don't want to stress you in the very beginning with all the concepts and all. I want to give you some time. So initial couple of weeks, the classes will be from Monday to Friday, so that you take some time on Saturdays and Sundays to practice all the whole exercises, week exercises. And once you're comfortable, the first 2 weeks is mainly focused on the basics. Okay, very basics, which you will have to use it throughout your life as long as you're in IT. So those basics is what I'm going to cover first 2 to 3 weeks. So that will take a lot of time for you to figure out. You get a lot of errors, fixing them, okay, coming back and reverting those things. It will take time. So those weekends will be given to you for those practice. And after that, when we actually enter into the concepts, that time will get extended. And I might take classes on Saturdays and Sundays too. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. So guys, I'm just sharing my number here. Okay. And just do call me. I'll respond to your calls because it is weekend. On weekdays, I might be busy. So just please drop me a message so that I'll call you back whenever I'm free. Okay. If I don't respond, please drop a WhatsApp message and I'll get back in touch with you. Any questions, guys?
Shiva, do we record all the sessions for entire period, training period?
Yes. All the sessions will be given to you, and you will have access to those videos throughout as long as you need it.
Sir, whenever we can watch the video, or otherwise only particular duration itself.
No, that's what I'm telling you. You will have access to those videos as long as you want it. It's upload to the drive. We have those drive subscriptions. It will be there for years. You don't have to worry about that. Good. So yeah, guys, I think if no questions, I think we are good. Thanks for being patient for 1.5 hours. Hope I addressed all the questions you have. If you still have any, and if you couldn't ask here, feel free to call me and get them clarified. Okay. And I'll get in touch with you guys in next today and tomorrow. And see you all Monday. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.